Hi, Sass. How are you doing?
No, I can't take you serious. It's fine. We'll just roll with it. Roll with it. I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Scry Guys, episode 1.
Wow, we did it. We're doing the thing, bro.
We're doing the thing.
We're doing
Insane.
the thing.
So our intro says opening banter / fun fact / etc. So if you want to come up with some opening banter or a fun fact or some etc., be my guest.
I don't have... Okay.
It's a tough one.
All right, I guess let's start with a... I don't have any opening banter. We'll start with a fun fact, okay, for the listeners. I have a cat.
Fun.
I have 2 cats. I have a cat named Mango, and I have a cat named Pierogi. And now
Well,
you can
hold on. When you say
I
I have a cat, really what you mean is I have a cat and another cat that I don't like.
Yeah, well, listen, one of them, he's just a little different. I love them, but maybe just, yeah.
He's quite something, I'll say it.
He's a creature. He's a creature.
Fun fact about me, I also have a creature, and his name is Sass.
Oh.
And then I also have a pet named Herbie.
Oh.
And a snake named Esper, no relation to the color wedge. Yeah.
What about
thrilling
the other
stuff? Oh, I also have a snake named Charles Mingus.
Yeah, that one's
so
more
if
important.
you've ever wanted to hear a group of snakes play jazz, then you just come to my apartment.
There you go. Everyone's invited to River's apartment to hear
You're
jazz.
all invited.
Charles Mingus himself.
Oh God, I've just invited like 8,000 people. I'm fucked.
Yeah, all eight total, 3 people total watching this. Like, yeah.
Listen, all 8,000 of you guys listening, you're all invited to my apartment to see snakes play jazz.
Wow, what a fucking grand old time.
What a grand old time. Hi, everyone. My name's River, and I live in Boston.
That's it? You don't want to say your proud achievements? Like, you don't want to do a little bibliography about yourself?
All right.
We don't have to.
Here's
I don't
little
care.
bibliography. So, first words were at 3 days old. Wrote my first sonata at 8 months.
You don't want to let the listeners know what we do for a living?
At 8 years. So, yeah, we have created Scry Guys for all of your beautiful ears to behold, because we realize that we just talk all the time about cards and about decks, and we were like, you know what the world needs is another Magic the Gathering podcast, because we definitely don't have any of those. So Here it is.
Okay, but I do want to say that, like, there aren't that many, like, good ones, okay? Like, obviously,
you're right.
We're heavily inspired by, like, I think the Grindcast, because we're just kind of doing whatever we want. But, like, I don't know, me and River listen to a lot of, like, podcasts, and, like, okay, when I say a lot, I mean Lords of Limited and the Grindcast, but the Grindcast is kind of dying right now. Rest in peace. And, like,
yeah, we're taking their throne.
Oh yeah. And then
get out of here, guys.
I feel like what we're trying to do differently is that, like, we're just going to talk about whatever the fuck we want, whether it's draft, modern, or standard, probably mostly standard. Whereas, like, I feel like other drafts or podcasts, like, have, like, one thing they want to talk about, like, all the time. Like, Lords of Limited is just really, really focused on, like, limited and sealed. Well, really just, like, drafting, to be honest, now that I say that out loud. But I feel like we're just going to do whatever the fuck we want with it and go wherever.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of our background playing Magic, we actually both met at FNM, which is like the best meet cute that you can possibly have as Magic the Gathering friends. We were, I think it was an MH2 draft or something where we met,
Yep.
right?
And I remember because there was this guy named Daniel who would always, like, talk about all the music he would play, and he was he'd always had, like, a bunch of fun mats for me to pick from. He was a really nice guy. I remember that guy.
I don't fucking remember this guy at all, but I do remember the guy that I'm on the podcast with. And yeah, I think we were playing the finals of a draft, and like we had like a really good match that was like really close, and we were like, damn, that was pretty nice. And then I think we like didn't see each other for like a month or something, and then eventually somehow we became friends. And Sass was the best man at my wedding. I'm not actually married.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and now here we are on a podcast. So, all right. I mean, anything else to say?
I don't think so. No, I'm good.
All right, let's do it.
You want to just go into like standard now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Sass, give us a recap of the bands that we had in standard.
Okay. So, I think let me pull up MTG Goldfish. Let me get into it, bro. I could go on and on.
Oh.
So this is gonna be an issue for the viewers,
real.
is because I love the yap. I am a yapper, and I will go
yapper.
on and on and on forever. And I think that's probably why River and my friendship's dynamic is so good, because he'll just listen. But I have to remind myself that this is a podcast, and I'm going to have to let him like actually talk, which is really hard for my Peabody brain. So, anyway.
We're going to have a special episode of the podcast where I sit here silently and you guys all forget that I exist.
Okay. So to recap, right? Today is 07/15, July 15th. I don't know why I said 07. I guess it's an 07 to all the cards that got banned. Basically... a whole humongous ban happened where we got everything we wanted. Monstrous Rage was banned. Tabe was banned, or This Town Ain't Big Enough. Hopeless Nightmare, rest in peace. But when I say rest in peace, I don't mean the card. I mean rest in peace because it was one of my favorite cards ever. They banned Cutter, of course, to no one's surprise, I think. Help me out here. I can't think right now.
They banned... Okay, so they banned... I'm just going to recap them. They banned... In red, they banned Cutter and Monstrous Rage.
Yeah.
In blue, they banned This Town Ain't Big Enough.
Yeah.
In black, they banned Hopeless Nightmare.
Uh-huh.
In white, they banned nothing.
Nothing. Well,
In
no, they
green,
banned Abuelo's Awakening.
Oh, thank you. That's what
Yeah.
it was. They banned Abuelo's Awakening. So, effectively... The decks that got hit by the bans were like literally every single meta deck except for one or two. So Is It Cutter got completely destroyed because their key card is gone. The Azorius Omniscience combo had their thing that reanimates Omniscience gone. Remains to be seen whether that deck will actually disappear given that Omniscience is still in the format. Esper Pixie, which everybody thought might be like the dominant deck after... the bans happened, also got completely obliterated by losing its best one drop in Hopeless Nightmare and also losing This Town Ain't Big Enough. We saw the mono red aggro decks lose both Monstrous Rage and Heartfire Hero, which is the one that we forgot in red. So all of their best one drops are gone as well. And then Up the Beanstalk was banned to basically eliminate all of the Overlord strategies and all of the cost reduction strategies, which would have been insane with Warp, which is coming out in EOE. Mm-hmm. So thank God they did not let that happen.
So I right now think that we're in like this weird spot where like it's been a cycle, right? Because like we were waiting for the bans, and then the bans happened. And then we're in this like second lull after waiting for the bans, where like we're just waiting for rotation to effect. And I think like it's weird because like we've had some standard sets where like sets really impact the format, and then we'll have like sets that like don't impact the format as much. And I think outside of a few outliers, Final Fantasy didn't affect. I think Final Fantasy affected as much as I'd like it to. But so far with
not very
EOE,
much.
Wait, what?
I said, which is not very much.
Yeah, and I do think that Edge of Eternities is going to affect the format a lot. Do you want me to like recap like what I think of the meta right now?
Yeah, let's talk about this current meta that we have. Like Sass said, it's in like a weird spot because we're effectively in a 30-day meta between the bans and the rotation / Edge of Eternities release.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the current meta right now, Sass.
Okay, so so obviously, like, there's 15 days until this meta ends. So I just want to put that out there, right? So, like, for anyone who listens to this, it's, like, not going to be that helpful because things may be shaken up completely. But I do think one deck is here to stay, and that's the first deck I'll talk about, which is Dimir Midrange. Like, I feel like this is the deck that I've been playing a lot. I played it. I'm playing it at 2 different store championships this weekend. I'm going to do a standard showdown probably too, and I probably do that the week. Well, no, because there won't be one. It'll be pre-released the week after that. But I've been playing a lot of Dimir midrange. River has played way more than I have, but I think that's the deck that's like here to stay, and it's just a good, efficient, tear your plan apart. All good cards that just like synergize with card drawing, and just like this broken planeswalker that like is probably next on the chopping block. I don't know, but I think that deck is here to stay. I just think that it's gonna suck when they lose cut down. But again, like another cut down could be. I think we have a little bit more than 50% of Edge of Eternities shown at this point, which we'll get into later to talk about like what we think about those cards. But yeah, I just think Dimir is very, very on top of the format right now. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think it's hard to deny the package of like Kaido and Enduring Curiosity is super, super strong, especially given that we have so many value, low-cost creatures, and the fact that I think pretty undisputably black and blue are 2 of the best colors in Standard right now, given that black has by far the most efficient unconditional removal, and blue has, as you would expect, the best card draw. So Dimir is basically just like, hey, what if we put all of the removal and good card draw together in a synergistic package and also allowed it to beat your face in? I love Dimir midrange, like Sass was saying. I've played it a bunch. I played it all of the last RCQ season back last fall, and it feels nice that it's back again. That said, who knows how rotation's going to change it, because notably it's losing Go for the Throat, although I do think it can be roughly 1-to-1 replaced with Shoot the Sheriff. Mm-hmm. More importantly, I think it's the loss of Cut Down, like you mentioned, is going to really hurt. But at the same time, we've also moved away from such a like one-drop aggro-heavy meta that demands a Cut Down in every opener. And there are like some pseudo substitutes, like we got Stab in Foundations, which granted not nearly as powerful as Cut Down, but there are some replacement options, and it's possible that it's just not super necessary to have 4 Cut Downs in the next meta. Who knows?
So it's really interesting. I was like looking at lists as you're talking right now, and if you go on to MTG decks right now, there's a tournament that is having players play post rotation early, and it's a Rapsola Arena tournament, and it's really interesting because it says it's post rotation, but like there's Cyber Cryptomancer, which Cyber Cryptomancer is rotating, right?
Oh yeah, isn't it from?
It's Mom
from March of the Machine.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just like trying to look at a list in front of me while we were talking about this. Also, noticeably, something else that I don't think you said was Fairy Mastermind is rotating, but there is a Wonder-Run replacement. But I think that's a very big hit for the deck too.
Agreed. And then there's also, I think the meta beyond Dimir is pretty cool right now. Like yes. According to MTG Goldfish, the second most played deck is it Cauldron? Yeah. Which, Sass, do you want to explain what that is? Yeah. So Is It Cauldron is like basically just like a discard deck, and the game plan of the deck is to just play like a bunch of like mid-range creatures that are all individually very, very good, but they all synergize with a card called Agatha Soul Cauldron, and the goal is to put Vivi Ornithir in the graveyard and then exile it from the graveyard with Soul Cauldron to give all your creatures the ability of Vivi, because Vivi has like literally probably the most. Is it fair to say this is probably the most broken activating ability in Standard right now? I'm okay with saying that. Like I think I'm okay with saying so.
You don't think so?
Let's. No, I do. I agree.
Okay.
I'm going to read Vivi in case anybody is not familiar with this insane little wizard. But if you have never seen Vivi, God bless you, you beautiful innocent soul. It's 1 blue red for a 0/3 wizard. It has a triggered ability, which is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you put a 1/1 counter on Vivi, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So any non-creature spell buffs him up and pings. And then for 0 activation, you can add X mana in any combination of blue and or red, where X is Vivi's power. And you can only activate it during your turn and once each turn. But effectively what this means is there are Vivi decks where you just play Vivi, you storm off with a bunch of cantrips. Vivi becomes like a 4/7 that pings you 4 times. You use Vivi's ability to add 4 mana, play a bunch more spells. Vivi turns into like an 8/9, pings you a bunch more times, hits you in the face. So imagine if all of your creatures that are +1/+1 counters on them have the Vivi ability because of your Agatha Soul Cauldron. What a fun deck.
Do you have experience playing versus this deck? Because like a full disclosure, like I have not played against this deck once on Arena or in person. So, and I know you've been to some Store Championships too.
Yeah, so we keep talking about Store Championships because that's the only way to play Paper Standard, and we both love Paper Magic. I was at a Store Championship, I want to say the weekend before last, and in the semifinals I played against Is It Cauldron when I was on Dimir Midrange. And honestly, this deck is super scary. Like,
oh, wow.
It feels like if the pieces don't line up, the deck looks like it's doing nothing, but if all of the pieces line up, it seems like the most insane deck you've ever seen. And I actually just died out of nowhere because they're also running Voldaren Thrillseeker,
right.
Which is 2 in a red for a 1/1 with backup 2. But more importantly, it just has the activated ability of pay 1 and sacrifice this creature. It deals damage equal to its power to any target. So if you get this under Agatha Soul Cauldron, then every creature can fling itself into your opponent's face. And my opponent I passed the turn, tapped out, thinking that I was okay in game 2, and he just discarded a Voldaren Thrillseeker, put it under the Soul Cauldron, and sacked his whole board to ping me for like 25 damage or something.
Jesus. And then after that, I think... Well, let's just talk about prowess since we're already on Is It Cauldron. So, like...
Yeah, what's in prowess?
Well, I mean, Is It Prowess is pretty much the exact... I mean, I don't know. Like, it's so weird because, like, this is the deck I've been playing with the most, like, on Arena, but not in person because I don't want to, like, pay the money for it. But, like, Is It Prowess is basically, like, very similar in that... Well, it's actually not, because it's really just playing just Vivi. Now, the more I think about that, but it's playing Vivi and then a bunch of cards that have prowess on it, and then a bunch of cheap cantrips, and it's like trying to go underneath, but it's like weird because like I say it's trying to go underneath, but like some people are building it in ways that like make it more mid-rangey with Enduring Curiosity and like Ral and like the Room, and then you have some people who like are playing it like super aggressively with like Wild Ride and like Astrologian's Planisphere and like there's one other card I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but like I've done a deep dive in this deck because I think this is the deck I really want to play post rotation so far, and I just really like the package. River knows this and he makes fun of me for it all the time, but I really like the package of like stock up plus Storm Chaser's Talent plus the 8 cantrips. It makes me happy. It's fun to play those cards in my deck, and that's the only deck right now that is playing those cards like at a very high level. That's a very competitive deck. But I've been doing a lot of like deep diving on this deck, and it seems like no one agrees on like the style of what this deck like wants to be. It can be very, very fast. It can be slow and grindy. I've even tried to make versions of it just for fun that are like really, really controlly to go ultra late game to like ult with Ral. I just think it's a really interesting idea and it's cool. So that's my thought. Do you have any other things you want to say about it?
I mean, I think that's what's cool about this like 30-day meta that we're in is it feels like there's so much possibility right now, and like nobody really agrees. I mean, I think everybody agrees that Dimir is the most objectively consistently powerful deck, but beyond that, we're seeing, in addition to Is It Prowess, there's Golgari midrange, there's different aggro variants, like Gruul aggro is trying to come back. People have been playing Boros Convoke to give it one last hurrah before all of the key cards like Lethal Demolition and Night Air and Avios rotate out.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, Mono White is now not getting pushed out by other decks. and it seems, at least currently, it seems like it's poised to be the most powerful like late game deck in the format. Maybe vying up against Azorius Control, which is playing like the package of Beza, stock up, etc.
Can I talk about mono white right now? Because I put this in the show notes.
Go for it.
Okay, so like I have another friend of mine who I go to Store Champions with he's very, very anti mono white, and I never believed him until recently after I played against it multiple times, because there are a couple mono white players at this recent Store Championship, and then I've been playing against it online, and I just think that like this deck is very, very good. Mono white tokens control, mono white control is basically just like it plays a very, very cheap interaction that's about to leave the format, and it tries to control the board with board wipes, and then the way it wins is like a bunch of cards that create tokens, and then there are 8 different cards that draw you a card every single time a token enters. And it has the benefit of being a monocolor deck, which means it gets to run like Sunken Citadel, Fountain Port, Demolition Field, and it's all centered around the card called Caretaker's Talent, which is one of the 8 cards that I was just saying that draws you for making a token. And I just think this deck is really good right now, and I think it's kind of being slept on because there's no like true, like I think dimir, like the only like it preys on everything that isn't dimir, because I think dimir can like kind of take it apart. And that's how I felt because I was playing dimir recently against mono white, but I still felt like it was a really big struggle. And I just think this deck is a powerhouse. And notably, it is losing laydown arms, which is going to suck, but I think there are other things that we can play that aren't laydown arms, but I will say it really, really does suck that laydown arms is gone for this deck.
Yeah, I have to agree. I feel like laydown arms being the major rotating piece, I can see the deck surviving beyond that, because realistically you can kind of find one removal piece to replace another, and I don't think laydown arms was like truly core to the package of the deck. It was just like a card that happened to be conveniently there. But I do wonder if like it seems like laydown arms was one of the factors that was really pushing the deck to be monocolor, because it really rewards you for having a bunch of planes. And I wonder if losing laydown arms might allow the deck to spread its wings a little bit more and dabble into being a 2-color deck somehow. Like, I could definitely see a green-white deck, or even like a green-red deck with there's a lot of red token makers these days.
Yeah.
Maybe even green-blue, and it just plays stock up because stock up is the best card in standard. So yeah, it's interesting to see where the deck is going to go.
I think it might... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, I think, you were saying, like, spreading its wings. I think it becomes Orzhov, because another thing to note is that, like, Orzhov is going to have the best mana base out of any of the 2-color combos post-rotation after EOE because of the shock lens coming in. And so I really just think, like, Orzhov is, if you don't know where to be, like, Orzhov is a good place to start because you have the best mana base. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to give a shout to that, because when Sass says like mana bases, if you aren't super familiar with Standard, they've added the fast lands in 2 different like periods of time, which means half of the fast lands are rotating out and the other half are staying. So I believe we're losing the blue-black, the red-green, the blue-white, the black-green, and one other of the fast lands, but we are keeping the black-white fast land, and they're also printing 5 of the shocks into Edge of Eternities, one of which is Godless Shrine. So black-white is both keeping its fast land and gaining a shock land, so it's going to have a very, very strong mana base.
Yeah, I think Orzhov is the place to be, and I would not be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of Orzhov mid-range, Orzhov control. I think the problem I've always had with Orzhov decks is, like, you don't have, like, ways to filter through. Like, not having blue really, really sucks, I think, in Standard. And I think I'm a little biased by that, but just not being able to have a lot of card selection and churn through your deck makes the deck a lot harder, especially since, like, the ways to draw cards in Orzhov can be very easily the card engines can be very easily interacted with, whereas, like, in blue you can just play stock up and just, like, you're back to having a grand old ham, and you're set up and ready to go. But in Orzhov, like, you can't really do that all the time.
You guys are quickly going to learn that Sass's two favorite things in the entire world are drawing cards and killing creatures. And so if a deck isn't blue, he's going to be like, it doesn't have enough ways to draw cards. And if it isn't black, he's going to be like, but there's no removal. What are you doing?
True. It's so true.
So speaking of a deck that is neither blue nor black, let's talk about the mono green deck that won a challenge recently.
Did you want to go through the rest of the format, or do you think like there's any other? Because like I think Dimir midrange, Cauldron, Prowess, mono way. Is there anyone else that like we want to talk about that you think is going to survive? I'm looking at it too, and I'm not like, I guess Azorius control. I don't know. You tell me if you feel like you want to go into any of the others.
Well, in terms of key cards that are rotating out, let's briefly like say the cards that have made an impact in Standard that we're no longer going to have. So the biggest one I think is Temporary Lockdown.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a spoiler that will effectively 1-to-1 replace Temp Lockdown, but it hasn't been officially spoiled yet. Beyond that, as we said before, there's Cut Down, there's Sheoldred, the Apocalypse, there's Lay Down Arms. Several important sideboard pieces are going to be rotating. So like Lithomantic Barrage is rotating on red sideboards. Sass, fill me in here. What else are we going to be losing?
Oh, I mean, Fairy Mastermind for sure. I think I'm trying to think if there's any in green, but like green decks like don't even exist. Funnily enough, I'm stuck on the Lithomantic. You telling me the Lithomantic Barrage one just kind of like rocked my world for a second. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh damn, that is leaving. That sucks.
Yeah, one of the best ways to kill Beza.
Urbrass Forge is leaving, which thank God, because I'm the biggest hater of that card, and I think that was an insane sideboard card. I'm so glad that card is gone, because I think that card is not fair. I really, really do not like that card or the design of that card. Let me see. I mean, Sunfall is leaving, but again, like, we have Ultima, so it's not really the end of the world.
Like we said before, we're losing all of the important Convoke pieces too.
Yeah. Let me see if
and
there's
then
anything else.
One deck that I think actually is going to do pretty well is the Gruul Delirium deck.
Oh, really?
Because I think the vast majority of Gruul Delirium is from Duskmorn and onward.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it's losing anything. Oh, it's losing Seed of Hope. So
oh, yeah.
That might actually make a difference.
Well, can't you just replace that with Commune with Beavers? Oh, well, I guess it doesn't mill it. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, the mill is the key part there.
Yeah.
But it's so impossibly difficult to completely accurately predict upcoming rotation. And the thing that we're also not considering here is that the cards in Edge of Eternities could also really cause a change in the meta that forces a pseudo rotation as well. We saw this, I mean, we see this every time rotation happens, but the new set has a huge impact. Like last year, we saw Bloomborough had a huge impact on the set when everything else rotated out.
Yeah. Oh, okay, wait. I remember one other card I did want to shout out, or one other deck I want to shout out that I think is important. I would say Golgari midrange, but like I just don't see it winning enough challenges. But I do think that some 75 of a Gruul aggro deck is going to come back. Like, I really do like the Questing Druid, Manifold Mouse, Emberheart, Challenger, Paw Patch, Recruit, Hired Claw package. Like, I think that is, and Screaming Nemesis. Like, I think some iteration of that might be really, really good. More of, like, it says it's aggro, but I feel like, you know, now that we've lost, like, Monstrous Rage, like, it feels like it's more mid-range. But, like, maybe we were just so, like, aggro-pilled from Monstrous Rage, we don't know what an aggro deck is anymore, but it just feels like every deck isn't an aggro deck anymore, because I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like not having Monstrous Rage anymore has like really, really, really slowed, and Paw Patch Recruit has really, really slowed the format down.
Yeah. Monstrous Rage, like, I mean, everyone and their mother has told you this already, but if you have not played Standard since the bans, it feels like a different format just because, like, you can just chump block now and not be terrified. Like, a person attacks you with double strike and you're like, okay, I'll put my 1/1 in front of it. I'm not going to take 10. So it definitely feels a little bit more balanced in terms of not rewarding crazy aggro strategies right now.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the mono.
Okay, let's talk about this green.
Yeah.
So this is something Sass pulled out of his ass today. Let's. How about you go over the cards that are in it?
Well, so I wanted to check. Is this not the same? Go click. I put a link for you in the show. Is this not the same thing that you played against at the store championship? I think it is.
It is. So
Yeah.
I actually have experience playing against this, which I think is funny.
Okay, so
It seems like it's catching on.
yeah, so this whole deck is, first off, this deck is very, I think it's so funny how it's a monocolored deck, but it's so expensive. Like, that is so funny to me. But this one I think would not be possible without Final Fantasy. Like, this whole deck is pretty much Final Fantasy, and I think that, like, if you're new to Magic, like, and you want to get a standard deck, this is the perfect deck for you because it's so easy to play. But, like, it's so expensive. It's so crazy because you have Bristly Bill, Tifa, Mossborn Hydra, Traveling Chocobo. Like, these are all really expensive cards. So I don't know, but from my understanding, because I watched Ash Lizzle did a video about it recently, and it's a very simple deck that is very, very, very explosive. But I think the skill in the deck is when you use your protection spells, and the protection spells being overprotect. Some lists there's so many different iterations of this, but I think the parts that stay the same, just before I get into like what the skill of the deck is, I think the parts that always stay the same are Sass's Chocobo, Bristly Bill, Tifa Lockhart, Mossborn Hydra, Springbloom Druid, and Traveling Chocobo. And then everything else, like, it seems like those stay the same. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards stay the same. And then the rest is just, like, kind of just, like, what people think is good in green. I see some people playing Paw Patrick Root. I see some people playing the Nissa Planeswalker that's about to rotate. I see some people main decking Scavenging Ooze sometimes. And then on top of that, you're just running just protection spells for your creatures because it's just a creature-based deck. And so I've seen Bushwhack. Bushwhack is a fight spell. Royal Treatment, Snakeskin Veil. I like Overprotect the most. I think, like, I've noticed a lot. The list that went 9-0 that I linked Forest played Overprotect. If I'm not wrong, I'm pulling it up right now. But I just think that.
So Sass, let's pause for one sec because we didn't actually explain like what the deck is trying to do.
Oh, sorry.
So like. Basically, it's a landfall deck, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So
do you want to do it?
It's running all these. Sure, I got it. Basically, all of the cards in the deck are synergizing around landfall triggers, and the key things here are you have Sass's Chocobo is the 1-drop, the green 1-drop that's a 0/1 that whenever a land enters, he gets a counter. Mm-hmm. So if you have a bunch of land drops and you have this on 1, it's just like a massive 1-mana creature. But I think more importantly for the deck are Tifa Lockhart and Mossborn Hydra are both creatures that get exponentially larger with land drops. So Tifa is the 2-mana 1/2 trampler that its power doubles whenever you play a land. And Mossborn Hydra is the 3-mana 0/0 that enters with a counter. It also has trample, and when a land enters, you double the number of counters. So basically both of these are things that their power doubles every time you hit a land, and in some cases, if you get lucky, you can get a turn 3 kill just off of one of these cards hitting your opponent in the face. And now that obviously is kind of a perfect world where they don't have a removal spell and they don't interact with you at all and they just kind of sit there and miss all their land drops or whatever. But that's what the deck is trying to do.
Yeah. But I think this is like... So I was saying, like, I think this is an easy to play deck for beginners because it's very simple of just like I play 1-drop, I play 2-drop, I play 3-drop, and I put counters on creatures. I think the skill of the deck comes from like using Snakeskin, Royal Treatment, Overprotect at the right time. Like what creatures are worth saving, what are not. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also like knowing when to go for it and when to commit your stuff to the board. So for example, when I played against this deck at the store championship, I felt like it was a very easy matchup for me playing Dimir because my opponent basically just tapped out every turn and then I was just killing stuff. And I had never seen this deck list before, and I was actually taken off guard the one turn that he just happened to have open mana for the Snakeskin Veil, because it didn't cross my mind that card was in this deck, having never seen the deck list before. So I went for my removal spell, and he had the protection spell for it. And so then in our subsequent games, I think I was playing a lot better knowing that this deck was really trying to rely on these protection spells to protect its creatures. And so by proxy, I think that's where the skill in playing the mono green deck comes in, is not necessarily just tapping out every turn. And if you have one of your key threats that you need to protect, or if you have a traveling chocobo, which is the 3-mana 3/2 that doubles all your landfall triggers, yet another important piece of the deck. If you have one of these things, maybe you don't cast it perfectly on curve so that you can hold up your protection spell for it, something like that.
Yeah. I think this deck is like hilarious because like I remember you telling me about it and I was like, oh, this is just some guy like memeing, it's not that good. And then like here we are a week later and it's putting up numbers and people are talking about it and it seems like it's like an actual deck. Again, we don't know what is going to happen, but correct me if I'm wrong, none of this deck rotates at all. Like I'm looking through it right now and nothing. Well, okay, Bushwhack rotates, but I'm sure there's something else that can play besides. Well, Bushwhack is pretty good, right? Because you get to. No, it doesn't come into play.
I think they reprinted Bushwhack in Foundations actually.
Oh, they did? Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. They did. This deck is safe. Wow. Yeah. So like, I just think it's funny that this deck is like gone from like 0 to hero very, very, very quickly. And I've not played against this on Arena. I have no experience about this. I'm just like, I just keep up with tournament results every single day because I like to look for decks to copy and get inspiration from. But yeah, I think that was the last deck I wanted to talk about as far as like Standard goes, unless you have something else you want to talk about in Standard.
No, I think like, so we've pretty much covered the current state of Standard, but now we get to go to the fun part, which is talking about the future of Standard, and we have a bunch of spoilers that we wanted to basically debate with each other. And so to give you guys listening an idea of what's about to happen, so Sass and I have both dropped screenshots of a bunch of Edge of Eternities spoilers into our show notes that we have not yet discussed with each other. For the most part, there's one or two that we've chatted about briefly. But so this is our opportunity to show off the new cards and then maybe either defend them against each other or collectively shit on them. So we'll see exactly what happens.
Wait, can I just say, I feel like this was also like, this banter that we do back and forth about spoilers is like, I think also part of the inspiration for why we've done this podcast too, because we for context, River and I used to live very, very close, and now we're like 2 completely different states away. And so we try to keep up with each other every week. And so, like, we were like, well, River came to me and basically told me, like, well, what if we just turn this into a podcast? Because we love talking about this shit. We love debating about the spoilers. Spoiler season is, River knows it's, like, the most fun thing for me. I love the videos. I love, like, refreshing all my favorites tabs to like find the new cards and talking about them and sending screenshots to each other and saying, is this card gonna be good? It's like it's like it feels like it's Christmas and it's like multiple times throughout a year. It's so much fun. So this was
usually what happens is Sass like spams me with like a bunch of screenshots and he's like, this is the coolest thing ever, and then I look at it, I'm like, is it though?
Okay, but I do want to say before we get into this set, and I think I kind of said this before, this set's power level is definitely above, I don't know, would you say everything except for Duskmourn? That's how I feel. I don't know about you.
Oh, interesting. I definitely think that Duskmourn, explicitly for Standard at least, which is the format we play the most.
Yeah.
I think that Duskmourn is the highest power level we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I do think this looks like it is up there. I think functionally it's going to be hard to know until we see how the format shakes out. But I do anticipate this having a big splash on Standard for sure.
Yes, I agree. There's for context, when we were looking at Final Fantasy spoilers, there weren't as many that we counted that we were like, yes, for sure there's going to be in Standard. And half of this set hasn't been released yet, or I think we're a little bit over half. I don't know. And it already feels like there's more than what we felt was going to come from Final Fantasy that'll make an impact in Standard. Let's get into it. Do you want? I was thinking we could do one of two things. We could go back and forth, one card that I posted, one card that you posted, or do you want to just like go through yours and then go through mine? What do you want to do?
let's we can go back and forth.
Okay.
So I can start us out, and then you can just pick the next card that you want to talk about.
Okay. So sell me on Lightstall Inquisitor.
Yeah, so Lightstall Inquisitor, if you guys have not seen this, it's a single white, it's a 1-drop, for a 2/1 vigilance. And it says, when this creature enters, each opponent exiles a card from their hand and may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Each spell cast this way costs 1 more to cast, and each land played this way enters tapped. So, okay, let's translate that into what that means for gameplay. So, it's a single white mana for a lot of text. Mm-hmm. It's a 2/1, so it's a pretty aggressively statted 1-drop. It has vigilance, which is probably just a perk. I don't see that is gonna like truly drastically affect the card, but it is nice that it can play blocks and attacks.
Yeah.
And then I think the ability is really interesting, and I think that it's something that warrants a little bit of a discussion. So when it enters, your opponent gets to choose any card from their hand and exile it. So you don't get to look at their hand, and they get to choose, you don't get to choose. If they choose a spell, it costs 1 more. If they choose a land, it enters tapped. And so I think that this card has a very wide range, right? Because there are certainly going to be times where you play this and your opponent is like, cool, I don't care, I'll just take the thing that didn't fit into my curve, or I'll take the land that was going to enter tapped anyway. And then it was basically just a 2/1 vigilance for 1 mana that says your opponent reveals a card from their hand. That said, I don't think the floor is that bad because it's still a 1 mana 2/1 vigilance. Mm-hmm. The ceiling, I think, is very high, especially if your opponent is down to just like a few cards in hand, and this could really throw off their curve. This could also give you information about like, oh, well, I see that they have this removal spell now. I know how much mana this removal spell is going to cost. I can play around it, that kind of thing. So all in all, I just think that this does a lot for 1 mana, and I'm excited to see if it gets played as a 1-drop in some sort of aggressive, disruptive deck. I think that might be kind of cool.
Okay. Do you want me to keep it real?
Keep it real. Keep it $1.50.
I think. Okay. I'll be honest. I don't think the card is. I don't think it has a home. Right. The only home I was thinking about it is like, it's an angel, which like there are angel tribal cards that matter, and like it does seem like there's a big sub theme of pushing angels into standard with this set. So this is the 1 mana angel that you want to play that goes along with Giada. Like that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this card. But like,
that's a good point.
Are angels really that good? You know, like be real with me. Like where I agree with you. Like the floor is pretty high, right? Like this is a high floor. I like what it does. It is a very strong effect for 1 mana in standard. But like, I just don't know where this goes. Like I hear what you're saying. Any white aggressive deck, but like.
No, I know what you mean.
I don't.
There is like in. Go ahead.
You go.
Okay, I was just gonna say in Pioneer, maybe people are hyped about this because I know there's a Pioneer Angels deck that people love.
Oh wow. Okay.
I agree that I think it is a little bit homeless, but I kind of think that while it might not be like a format shaping card, it might be just like keep your eye on it, because if you are a white deck that wants 1-drops, you know, like you can fetch it with your Bright Glass Gear Hulk if you want.
True.
It's just a good 1-drop for a white deck if that's something that your deck wants.
That's true. You know what? I actually didn't think of it in the context of cage decks. I actually that's something I didn't think of at all, and that actually brings me a couple points up. So I think you've done a good job bartering with this one just because of that point. I didn't think of that at all actually.
Let's go. My random last minute point worked.
Do you know Anointed Peacekeeper?
I do. That's the 2 and a white 3/3 that basically does the same effect as Lightstall Inquisitor.
It's not as good, but this is like, I feel like, because I feel like they wanted some kind of effect like that in white to be reprinted. And it's weird because Anointed Peacekeeper hasn't really seen play in a long time, but I remember when mono white midrange decks were really, really good back during Kamigawa, like that was the premier card for it, and Anointed Peacekeeper has been around since then. and they've just like they haven't seen play in a while now. But this card gives me Anointed Peacekeeper vibes. But that was the only other thing I had to say about this card.
Yeah, same here. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, give me one of yours.
Okay. I want to just go to the last one so bad. So bad. Oh my god.
We can do some of these like more quickly or something.
Let's
I don't know, I feel like we have a ton of these.
let's do Hard Light Containment. It's like midway down in there. I just kind of think this card's really good in the blue-white synthesizer artifact deck. Like, this is a 1-mana removal spell, and it gives the permanent ward 1. I don't think, like... I feel like this might fly under the radar, but I think this is a huge upgrade for the blue-white, like, artifact synthesizer deck, which it, like, plays control-y, but, like, it just all of a sudden has, like, this giant board state. And I really like the synthesizer decks too, but this card reads very, very good to me. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, yeah, I think this might also be excellent in Modern, where there's like affinity decks and stuff.
Oh yeah,
it does only hit creatures, but it's still like a 1-mana O-ring effect,
right?
That gives your artifact ward 1.
Yeah.
So,
and notably Ossification, which would be like the premier white removal spell, outside of Get Lost, is also rotating too. I just wanted to say that.
True.
All right, you want to go?
Sweet card.
Go back to you.
All right, let's. I have a pair of cards to talk about back.
Okay. Interesting.
So, the first one is Possibility Technician.
Where is this?
This is a red card. This is 2 and a red for a 3/3. It's a Kavu Artificer, because they're bringing back the Kavu creature type in this set. And it says, whenever this creature or another Kavu you control enters, you exile the top card of your library. For as long as that card remained exiled, you may play it if you control a Kavu. And then it also has Warp for 1 and a red, which, if you haven't seen Warp yet, it basically means you can cast the card for the Warp cost, which is usually discounted, and then at the end of the turn that you cast it, you exile that card, and then you can cast it for the regular cost later. So it's kind of like Adventure, where you cast it and then it goes on the adventure and you cast it later, except it's a permanent that stays on the battlefield for the turn. And so if you warp this guy, when he enters, you exile the top card of your library and you control a Kavu that turn, so you can immediately play it. Or you can let him disappear, the card stays exiled, and then you can play him later. And then again, you control a Kavu, you get the trigger again. Now you can play either of those cards as long as you control a Kavu.
You're not selling me on these, I'm going to be honest with you. You keep going.
Okay.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but keep going.
Okay, so I think in a vacuum, Possibility Technician, not great, right?
Sure.
It's very below rate. It's very clunky in a format that, I mean, I don't think this could ever see play outside of Standard in any higher power format. And even in Standard, I think this is clunky. But it remains to be seen whether the Kavu creature type is something that matters. And so that's why I wanted to talk about the next card, which is also a Kavu, and one that I think is a much inherently stronger Kavu, which is Terrapact Intimidator. So Terrapact Intimidator is a 1 and a red 2/1. It's a Kavu Scout, and it says, when this creature enters, target opponent may have you create 2 lander tokens. If they don't, put 2 1/1 counters on this creature. And a lander token it's kind of like a food. It's like an artifact token that you pay 2, tap, and sack it. But instead of gaining 3 life, you actually search your library for a basic and put it on the battlefield tapped. So basically, your opponent gets to choose what happens here, but it's either a 2-mana 2/1 that makes 2 artifact tokens, or it's a 2-mana 4/3.
I just, they're cards in Standard, So I agree. Terrapact Intimidator has promise. I don't know if the Kavu Bro, you can't sell me on this. I'm sorry. You just can't. You can't sell me on fucking Kavu Tribal. I cannot. No.
Okay, I will concede. I don't think Possibility Technician is going to be really good unless there's like some super busted Kavu deck out there.
I think,
but
is there a 1-drop Kavu? I mean, I guess we don't know.
Maybe.
Yet. We don't know.
We don't know. There might be. Maybe there's like a 1-drop Kavu that's a 10/10. No downside.
What is the dream of this for you? So, like, what is the dream here? What are you looking to do here?
To be honest, there's not a dream with Possibility Technician. There's only the possibility.
There's only the possibility that this is fucking awful, River. Like, I think Terrorback Intimidator. You can sell me on Terrorback Intimidator alone, but these two together,
okay,
no.
Yeah.
I think there's
I think
something to do with Terrorback Intimidator.
Yeah, to defend Terrapact Intimidator on its own, I do think that if you have an aggressive deck that cares about artifacts, you are happy with either choice your opponent makes. Because a 2-mana 4/3 feels great, or a 2-mana 2/1 that makes 2 artifacts that you can do something later with. So if you are like blue-red and you play whatever the 3-drop is that like turns one of your artifacts into a 5/4.
Right.
That seems really good. Or if you play like Case of the Filch Falcon to like turn one of your artifacts into a giant bird.
Yeah.
Or if you're red-white and you play Warden of the Inner Sky. I think this is just a card that seems inherently powerful on the whole, so I could see it seeing play.
I really like it with the idea that what if Gleeful Demolition was still in Standard, but, you know, it's not. So, GG.
We wish.
Okay.
All right, you go.
Let's do. This one isn't a sell. I just wanted. We talked about this card a little bit. Right now there's for people who don't know, there's a cycle of planets that are these new mythic lands that you have to station, and like I'm so down on the state. I didn't really want to sell this card to you. I just wanted to do a temperature check because when I went to Store Championships, I wanted to like really ask people what they think about the planets, because these are like the most hyped cards of the set, and it just really seems like everyone is so split on what they think of the like good players that I would think are very, very good players and I respect, are telling me that like these are good cards, and then I would have people who are telling me these are really, really bad cards too. I think all the planets are bad. We have one person who in our community who I like think is like the best person in our community, and he seems very sold on the red one. So I just wanted to do a temperature check on the red one. Do you think there's any way this is like a good card? I still don't think so.
Okay, this is Cavaron Memorial World. It's a red land. It only taps for red, and it enters tapped, and it has station. For this one, it's station 12. So that means you have to tap a total number of creatures with power 12 over any number of turns. And when you eventually get up to 12 station counters, or I guess they're charge counters, then it gains an activated ability, which for this one, it gains 1 red tap, sacrifice a land, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token, then creatures you control get +1/0 and gain haste until the end of turn. So, to summarize, it's a tapped mountain that if you tap a total of 12 power of your creatures, then you can pay 2 and sack a land and tap this to make it 2/2 and give your creatures +1/0 and haste. And so I think my evaluation is that this is like garbage.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think there's any other way to put it.
I don't know why.
I don't know what home this has, because it's like, if it seems like it's a good card for some sort of aggressive deck, especially like a go wide aggressive deck that can pump your team and give everything haste. But at the same time, the cost is you're playing a tapped land in an aggro deck, and you're also tapping 12 power worth of creatures that could have been damage going to face just in order to activate this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't see it.
Yeah. I just think they're bad. Like, I don't get it. I was thinking, like, maybe you put this in, like, the Boros United Battlefront deck where you, like, trying to, like, casino out Caretaker's Talent, Even the new version of Temporary Lockdown. That actually, now that I think about it, that deck's dead because it's losing Urbrass Forge. So never mind.
Yeah.
Wow. See, this is what rotation does to the brain. It's crazy. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure we're on agreement on this. We can go back to you.
Okay, well, speaking of Go Wide, one that I am very excited for. Actually, you added this one, but I still want to talk about it. This is Lumen class frigate.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is a spacecraft. It's 1 and a white. It has no inherent abilities other than the station abilities.
Yeah.
So, you can station it if it has 2+ counters on it. Then it says other creatures you control get +1/+1. And then if it has 12+ counters on it, it also becomes a 3/5 with flying and lifelink.
So something I learned recently was that I thought that you could add the counters and station at... I thought it was like crew, but it's not. You can only do it at sorcery speed like Saddle, which makes this even worse. And I kind of wonder, like, would these cards have been better if you could do it at instant speed? But anyway, I just thought this one was the easiest to do. It's very cheap, and giving an Anthem for just tapping a 2-drop, like, I don't know, that seems pretty good. Like, of all the stations, like, the spacecraft, I guess, like, this seems really, really good, no?
Okay, initially I was, like, extremely hype on this because I misread it, and I thought that when you stationed it for 2, it gave other creatures +1/+1, and it became 3/5.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's insane. A 2-mana 3/5 that pumps your team. All you need to do is station it twice. Clearly it does not do that. It's only a 3/5 flying lifelink creature if you've stationed it with 12+ counters.
Yeah.
So I think that caused me to misevaluate the card. I still think it is quite good as just like if you are in a go wide deck, there's going to be a lot of times where your creatures just don't have haste, and you can just play your creature, immediately tap it to station, and basically this is, I think, effectively a 2-mana artifact that says your creatures get +1/+1. And then eventually in the late game, if you really have to, you can turn it into a flying lifelinker.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I think it's a reasonable ad. Yeah.
I think there's some kind of like mono white or Boros go wide deck, since we're losing Knight Errant of Eos, that might exist. I don't know though, because losing Knight Errant of Eos is like a huge L. I know you love that card. Yeah. And interestingly, the card that I put next to it is a replacement, but not as good for Resolute Reinforcements.
So you pulled out Honored Knight Captain, which is a 2-mana 1/1 that when it enters, you create a 1/1, and then it has a super expensive activated ability that I think is largely irrelevant.
Yes, correct.
We're actually not losing Resolute Reinforcements, though. They reprinted it in Foundations.
Right. I forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot it's in Foundations. You're right. So never mind. We don't even need to talk about Honored Knight Captain. I mean, unless you think there's some reason this is relevant.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe you play Honored Knight Captain and Resolute Reinforcements. Maybe that's the play. I don't know. You're probably right.
Well, you can play Frontline Rush, which is another instant speed version.
That's true, actually. Good point. Yeah, there's no reason to play Honored Knight Captain. Okay. Are we going to meet now?
Hey, buddy.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Yeah. Can I get you to sell me on Emissary Escort?
Where is it? Emissary Escort.
It's right above Lumen Class Frigate.
Oh. I mean, this isn't a hard sell. This is... Okay. I am a big fan of the blue-white artifacts, like Shell. So obviously I'm a little biased, right? But I just think that, like, you know, they've been printing all these cards. Didn't we? I thought we talked about this at some point, but I think they've been printing all these Affinity for Artifacts cards. There's the one from Final Fantasy. There's the Gear Hulk. If there was finally time for like a mid-range tempo Artifact Matters deck to shine, this was the perfect 2-drop that we needed. And so I don't think, you know, some amazing artifact deck is going to come out right now, but I think if there's a tempo artifact deck in the future, this is the card that they finally needed, because they needed a good 2-drop. So that's my Thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Ideally, you want to play like
me.
some like 3-drop that has like really good impact and is an artifact. That isn't synthesizer, because I don't really see this. You don't want to play this with synthesizer. Synthesizer is the best artifact card in standard, I'd say, specifically for the blue-white artifacts deck. So I was like, what's another like, you know, meaty 3-drop creature that's an artifact that you'd want to play with this?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think you want to go with this. Like, you want to find a curve of like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and Emissary gets the power of gets the mana value of the 3-drop. Because a 2-mana 3/4 that is also an artifact. It's all right. It's not like standard levels of broken, but it's all right. So
if you have like an artifact land or a 1-drop artifact, then you can curve into the 3/4 flyer that costs 5 but has affinity for artifacts.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Emissary Escort would be a 0/4 that's getting +5/+0.
Yeah.
So I mean a 5/4 for 2 mana seems great. But, I mean, I do think there is a downside of, like, you could really get blown out in combat if your opponent, like, removes your high-cost artifact and then this, like, Emissary Escort becomes a 0/4 and just dies to, like, whatever creature it's fighting.
Yeah. And a lot of the red removal spells just also, like, remove artifacts, which is why being artifacts, like, suck.
True.
So, again, I'm not trying to sell you on this. I just put this down there as something for us to, like, kind of talk about. Not all of these are hard sells.
That's a cool one for sure.
Yeah. What do you got?
I think this one's going to be a pretty unanimous quick one.
Okay.
Tell me your thoughts on Annul.
I put it back in, actually, because we talked about Annul already, but I put it back in, and I put... Here, let me go down to my notes, right? Or maybe I accidentally deleted it. Oh, no, here it is. I put it down in my section. Like... I don't think it's so, like, everyone's really hyped about this card. This is an insane counterspell. It's very strong. It's definitely going to see sideboard play.
Read the card so we all know what it is.
One in a blue for an instant, or excuse me, 1 blue mana for instant counter target artifact or enchantment spell and instant speed. Like, that's insane. Like, they just had this whole thing about how they really want to be wary of the 1-drop spells that they put in standard. And then here we have this insane counterspell that, like, and I say insane, I mean, it's probably just going to be, like, realistically, this is just a sideboard card, okay? But I was just, like, kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, is this really that big of a deal? Like, I thought about, like, I went through all the cards in Standard that are enchantments or artifacts, right? It hits all the overlords, for sure, right? Like, this makes the Naya, like, unit, or any unit deck, whether it's Abzan or Naya... Or I've seen weird, like, Jund versions too. Like, any unit deck like this hits, and this sucks for the unit decks. And it's sad because they had their 30 minutes of fame. And then the only other things I could think of that it hits are the overlords in any deck that wants to play the overlords. Enduring Curiosity and FOMO. Now, FOMO is a big one because FOMO, I think it's like that's the premier. When I think of, like, premier red 2-drops right now, I think of FOMO. So I was my whole reason why I put it here was, like, I don't know if it's as good as people think it is because of what the meta is, but again, we don't know what Edge is going to bring.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am on this card. Is I think so I'm very high on it, to be honest. Of course it is a sideboard card. I don't think you're main decking this unless the meta is really out of whack. But I think that for what it does, it's very, very powerful for blue decks.
Yeah.
And so if there is any deck in the format that is really relying on artifacts or enchantments, so, like, if a unit deck becomes really powerful, or if Edge of Eternities introduces a really strong artifact deck, or maybe bumps the synthesizer deck up to, like, tier 1, I do think that Annul is going to be a really serious sideboard consideration for any blue deck, because just a 1 mana unconditional counter their artifact or enchantment, I think is really, really strong.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that's all I really just wanted to, like, bring up about that card. I think when I first saw it last Friday is when I got spoiled. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Blue is broken. What is Wizards doing? But, like, I've calmed down to realize it's not as good as I thought. Was
All
that
right,
you or me?
what do you got for me?
Or me? Okay.
That was me.
Let's do. Again, this is a temperature check. I actually just wanted to like talk with you and see what you thought about this one. Scout for survivors, because we're gonna go outside of standard for a sec on this one. Is this card not really? And maybe I'm trolling, but is this card not really, really, really good in Boros Energy in Modern? Am I delusional? Like, tell me I'm delusional.
Okay, this is Scout for Survivors, 2 and a white sorcery. It says return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. So, I think, like in Standard, this is basically a 3 mana, like, return your Abhorrent Oculus to the battlefield.
Yes, yeah.
But like you said, like, maybe it's going to shine in Modern. I think, I mean, I don't play enough Modern, and I barely play Boros Energy at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like the meta here does not have too much Boros Energy, so it's hard for me to, like, say for sure. I would speculate that I feel like this is not something Boros Energy wants to be doing, because the deck is all about just playing, like, really efficient cards that are just, like, in a vacuum, just great. And I think that this requires you to have some setup. Like, if you only have like 2 creatures in your graveyard, like 2 1-drops, I don't think this feels very good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times you just might not really have any good hits on this. So I think high ceiling but low floor, and I don't think the deck wants any cards that have a low floor. That's just my thought.
Okay, all right. I was viewing this as like, oh, this is so great that like they can get a Johnny and then they can go get Ocelot Pride, and I was viewing this as like a crazy good recursion spell for Boros Energy, and I was just like so hype about this card, and I was like, is this not broken? But like, you'd probably rather just be playing Flayed or like Seasoned Pyromancer. Like I again, I don't play Modern enough to say. I just wanted a temperature check on this. I don't even think this is good for Standard and Oculus. I think they need to reprint a 2-mana version of this for Oculus to kind of come back.
If the people who are listening to this play Modern, let us know if you think this is going to be good. Yeah, because we need your help.
I'm gonna get flamed. Like, they're gonna flame me really hard.
It's over for you, bro.
Where do you want to go?
Speaking of Modern, I want to talk about at the top here, Pinnacle Emissary.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was really confused as to why you put this card in here. I was like, it's probably got some connotation in Modern, because I was like, what the fuck does this do in Standard? But go ahead.
I don't think this does anything in Standard. I think this is awful in Standard. Yeah. This is a 3-mana card. It's 1 blue and a red for a 3/3 artifact creature robot. And it says, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature with flying, and this token can only block creatures with flying. So it's a 3-mana 3/3 artifact that whenever you cast an artifact, you get a 1/1 artifact flyer, basically a Thopter.
I see where you're going.
But I think where this card shines is it has warp. For either a single blue or a single red, you can warp it. And so it only stays on the battlefield until the end of the turn. But I think that this has potentially like really explosive turns where like in a affinity deck, and affinity decks are almost all blue and sometimes have a red component, you can just like turn 1, play your blue source, tap it, warp this, and then immediately, even if you just like only have a Mox Opal in your hand, you can just play the Mox Opal, the cast trigger makes a 1/1, and then by the time the Opal hits, you've already achieved Metalcraft because you have the Opal, the Pinnacle Emissary, and the token it created. And then you can tap your Mox Opal for mana, and basically you can just like dump out your opening hand, except every time you're casting an artifact, you're also making a Thopter. And then granted, this warps out at the end of the turn, but I think that's almost an upside because then you can play it later if you want and get the effect again. So I think that has some pretty good explosive potential for affinity decks. Again, I don't think we play enough Modern to know for sure, but what do you think?
I just didn't even think of it like that. I watched Andrea Mengucci's YouTube channel, and I watched him do a league with an artifact deck, and I just watched him dump out his whole hand. And then I looked at the warp. As soon as you said affinity, I looked at the warp cost, and I was like, oh, I see where River is going with this. Because you could just, like, have a turn where you just dump your whole hand on turn 1 or turn 2, and you just have, like, 3 or 4, like, drones. And then you can play it as a 3/3 later if need be. So, yeah, I kind of see where you're going with this. And it's not ever really a 3-mana card because in Affinity, everything is never a 3-mana card.
Yeah, I think you generally only want to be warping this, and then later in the game, if you're desperate, you can just cast it for the regular cost.
Yeah. But yeah, I see where you're going with this now. I'm open to this being good in Modern with how little Modern I play. I see where you're going with this. I did not think of the Warp 1 and then dumping your hand in Affinity. Can we go to Sunstar Chaplain? I want to hear your thing on this. Let's just get it over with, because I think this is the biggest doo-doo pile I've ever seen. Go ahead, get it out of the way.
To be fair, I was also pretty mid on this one.
Okay, all right.
This is 1 and a white. It's 2 mana for a 3/2 human cleric. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. And you can also pay 2 and remove a counter from a creature you control to tap target artifact or creature. I guess, it's a reasonably statted 2-drop. It puts counters on things if your creatures are tapped, and it has a little bit of interaction on it. It doesn't do any of the things. Like particularly well, but I don't know. Maybe it has a home in some sort of go wide counters deck. I'm probably just dreaming on this one, I'll be honest.
I mean, if we're thinking of like the deck we just talked about earlier, where it's like you go wide with Resolute Reinforcements and Unbreakable Line, right, or something, I do see what you're talking about. I just think the setup is way too high, and I just would rather play Resolute Reinforcements or like I just don't see it with this card. I really don't. I saw this card, and I also just want to say this. I'm gonna start off with this. I am not a hater of like any artist. I think all Magic's arts are great, and like, okay, I don't want to say all Magic's arts are great, but most of Magic's art is really, really, really good and very high quality. This specific art I think is horrendously bad. Like, it's so chaotic. And I'm a big art fiend, by the way. Like, sometimes the art just like makes me want to play a card. That's so again, I'm very biased on this. But I think the art on this card is so incredibly bad. Like, there's so much going on. The dude's face is like, help me, like, what's going on? He's like healing the person who like looks like they like got miniaturized. Like, I don't know what the proportions of his face looks bigger than I'm sorry, I can go on and on. I'm gonna stop. That's it.
Yikes.
All right. Let's just go to Seed Chip Brood Tender, because I want to talk about this card too.
I'm sold. This card's garbage. Let's do Seed Chip Brood Tender. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, so Seed Chip Brood Tender is a 2-mana 2/3 for 1 black and 1 green. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. Okay. It's pretty good. And then 3 black green, so for 5 mana, you can sack this creature, return target creature or spacecraft from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. So I'm also very high on this card. You don't need to sell me on this card, but go ahead.
I'm not here to sell you on this card. I'm here to shit on this card and prevent you from being sold.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
You sell me.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Wow, all right.
Well, tell me why you think it's good.
I just thought this might be good in some kind of self-mill deck. If they're like we got Diamond Hands. I know the self-mill deck is losing their removal spell, but I just thought this was a good 2-drop for the Golgari self-mill deck. Like, I saw this. It's a 2-mana 2/3 with, like, synergy for the deck. And then, like, if you self-mill Diamond Hands, like, I don't know. I was pretty high on this card. I'm surprised to hear you say this. I thought it was a huge buff for the Golgari self-mill deck.
Hold on. What is Diamond Hands?
Sorry, not Diamond Hands. What is it called? The Diamond something? Final Fantasy.
Oh, Diamond Weapon?
Diamond Weapon, thank you. Diamond Hands
Wait, I love Diamond Hands. I'm going to call it that from now on.
Diamond Hands is one of... It's a specific part in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Or I think it's one of the stands. I don't know. Any JoJo fan can yell at me for saying that.
I want to play this deck now just so I can slam Diamond Weapon on the table and go, Diamond Hands!
So you think this is
Okay,
ass?
okay, you're selling me on it a little bit. I think, I could see it seeing play in that exact deck.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there are things that are a little bit better to be doing. Like, I would rather be playing, it's the 1 and a green enchantment that mills. Do you know what I'm talking
Dredger's
about?
Insight?
Yeah, Dredger's Insight. The 1 and green enchantment that I think it mills 4, you get something back, and whenever you get something back from your graveyard, you gain a life. Well, I think that the life gain is pretty important in Standard, and it also mills more cards and gives you something back.
Sure.
So it's like card selection and mill at the same time. I kind of like, I agree that the 2/3 body is nice, but the activated ability seems a little slow. I mean, it does do a little bit of everything, so maybe it's just good enough.
Well, so my thought wasn't that, like, this is replacing Dredger's Insight. My thought was this is another Town Greeter effect, because all those decks are playing Town Greeter, and this is better Town Greeter for that deck.
I don't know if I agree with that, actually, because Town Greeter gets you back a card.
Yeah, but I think that gets outweighed by the 2/3 body and having this effect. That's how I'm viewing this. I don't know. I'm open to being wrong on this. And plus, it removes something from the graveyard. Well, okay, I guess Town Greeter does do that too with Insidious Roots. I was just thinking about, like, maybe this, maybe in the Insidious Roots deck too. But I see what you're saying. Maybe Town Greeter is a little bit better. That's a good point.
I'm excited to see if this sees play, because I do think it's a cool card.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that it will be good enough, but I would be happy to be wrong.
The art is wild on this one, bro. I don't know if you've zoomed in, but, like,
Yeah.
he's, like, tending to, like, a little baby alien that I think is his same race that's popping out of the head of another alien that I think is also the same race. Like, this art is wild. It seems like, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, if anyone wants to pull up this card, it's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Eric Wilkerson, the artist, went hard. All right, let's talk about...
Just go to the end stone, bro.
I want to hear...
Just get it over with. Just get it over with. I'm not...
You read my mind.
I cannot. I'm so not open to you being right about this, but just go ahead and get it out for the listeners. Go ahead.
All right. We have, ladies and gentlemen,
Ass.
the greatest legendary artifact to ever grace the face of Standard.
Complete ass.
We're going to forget that Embercleave exists for the purposes of this statement. The End Stone. It costs 7 colorless mana. Well, 7 generic mana, not colorless. It is a legendary artifact, and it says, whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card.
You want to repeat that again?
Just want to... Let's have a moment of silence.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And guess what? That's not the only thing that it says.
Okay.
It also says, at the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half of your starting life total rounded up. So, to summarize, whenever you fucking sneeze, you draw a card off the top of your deck, and every single turn, you stabilize your life total to 10. Okay? I think this has multi-format implications. Like, I think this could see Standard play or Modern play. What do you think?
I mean, I got a good one for you. This is the end of good Magic opinions for River Grace. That's what this is. That's what this is. Like,
okay,
I get why you're so hyped on this card, but it's 7 mana, and I think you really are overhyping being at 10 health every turn. Like, I do think you can just die at 10 health in Standard sometimes.
I agree that you can die, but I think the ways that we died from 10 have been drastically reduced by, like, the loss of Monstrous Rage and the loss of Heartfire Hero and stuff. And I guess the way that I'm envisioning this card plays out is specifically in some sort of, like, control type deck or late game type deck where you stabilize the early game, you 1-for-1 your opponent's resources, or you board wipe their stuff, and then late in the game, you're basically at a point where, like, you and your opponent only have a couple cards in hand, And then if you drop the end stone, now you're saying, hey, I'm just going to be able to draw as many cards as I want to turn this game around in my favor. Meanwhile, while I'm drawing a card every single time I, like, fucking blink, you have to find a way to kill me from 10 in a single turn.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, no matter how much damage you deal to me, I'm just going back up to 10. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you hit me with your 5/5 each turn, I'm going back up to 10 every single time.
I can't, bro. I really can't. I'm sorry. I want you, listen.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see.
When this format comes out, you play Blue White Control, you throw this in there. You hit me with the results, bro. Hit me with the win rate. You know what? You show me the stats, I'm there for it. I'm there for it.
A man of science. Yeah. I respect it.
Where do you want me to go?
Yeah.
We're getting pretty long on this. Do you want to skip some? Should I just go to the one I really want?
Let's finish up with the one that you're the most hyped
Okay,
about.
all right. So, I want to preface this, right? This card was released today. Did you scroll down to my thing about it? The face?
I sure did.
Okay, wait.
Sass gave me a nice, terrifying image.
That's me when I saw this card.
Notes.
So wait, hold on. I think before we talk about this card, can you introduce Cosmic Grand Zenith? Because this is, I think, probably the most hype, in my opinion, card that's been released so far.
Okay. That's an excellent point. Okay, so we'll do Cosmic Grand Zenith first, and then we'll do Sass's other card. Cosmic Grand Zenith is the card that I think dropped my jaw the most of all the spoilers in this set.
Same. You've
probably seen it or heard of it before. Some people, I think, don't think it even matters. I think that it's going to be very good.
Yeah.
So Cosmic Grand Zenith is a 2 mana and a white, so 3 mana total, for a 2/4 human soldier. And it says, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose one. Either create 2 1/1 white soldier human creature tokens, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yep. So functionally, if you are on, if it's just turn 3 and you play this, it's just a 3 mana 2/4.
Yep.
But I think this has a similar effect to Vivi, where this can really snowball. So if you already have a wide board, if you cast your second spell and then you put a 1/1 counter on everything, that's very strong and includes itself, so it would become a 3/5. You can also build your board with it by creating 2 1/1 white humans.
Yep.
You can also wait and play this on turn 4, at which point you play this and then a 1-drop, and then you automatically trigger your Cosmic Grand Zenith before your opponent has a chance to interact. And so I think that there's just a ton of potential with this card with very little downside, and it seems like it's kind of a must-answer threat, because if you don't answer it, your opponent's just going to start snowballing out of control.
The other thing I wanted to point out that I thought about since we last checked in about this card is that you can plot any 2 mana plot spells, means that you can play this on 3 and you get your army in a can. Specifically, Slick Shot Show Off. So,
very true.
The reason why I want to talk about that card is because they printed a card that is like, it seems like it's like literally made for this card. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I agree. Is this the first white cantrip in Standard? Like, I've never seen a card like this before in my life. Like, ever.
I think Lauren's Escape was a cantrip.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, but currently in current Standard, I don't think we have a single white cantrip.
Okay. So this is Honor. It is 1 white. It's an uncommon sorcery that says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and draw a card. First, I just want to say how cool the name just Honor is. The art is so fucking sick. And I just really, really love this effect because it combos very, very well with Cosmic Grand Zenith. I also love playing with cantrip cards, and I really wanted just one more good one, because there's a lot of bad cantrips in blue right now. I just wanted one more that would be good specifically for Astrologian's Planisphere, and also this is just really, really good with Cosmic Grand Zenith. So I think now you could have some kind of deck that just is just all creatures, like Astrologian's Planisphere, Cosmic Grand Zenith, not Caretaker's Talent, any of the prowess cards, specifically Storm Chaser's Talent. Those are your threats. And then you play interaction and then cantrips to get the double spell, get the prowess triggers. This is my dream. I wanted to do black, but now I'm kind of wondering if you do white, because this is a pretty good cantrip. I mean, yes,
you
it's
want it
not
to be
instant
black.
speed, but putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature is pretty good. So that's my dream for this card. I saw this card literally 3 hours before we started recording, 4 hours before we started recording, and I'm very, very, very excited for this card. I think it's probably one of my most excited cards of this set. Go ahead and shoot me down. Tell me why this is bad and why I'm okay.
Okay, I don't think it's bad. I also think it's a good card. I think it's sweet.
All right, wow.
I think in current standard, like, you gotta really think about any cantrip as like a viable card, just because cheap cards are good right now, and there are a lot of cards that care about you just playing other cards. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure this would convince me to not play Izzet, because I just think Vivi is so powerful in conjunction with the blue cantrips that it's hard to make me feel like I would switch to like Azorius just for Cosmic Grand Zenith. I do wonder if maybe there's like a Jeskai deck that runs Vivi and Cosmic Grand Zenith and 12 cantrips now that we have Honor and Opt and Sleight of Hand. Granted, the mana base would be kind of rough. Jeskai's not super supported with the shocks that are coming in. But I feel like there's a home for this out there somewhere. And maybe it's even in like a +1/+1 counter deck. Who knows?
Just hear me out, right? So like Get Lost, counter spells, the package that I talked about to begin with, the 12 cantrips plus Storm Chaser's Talent, of course my tried and true stock up, Cosmic
This
Grand
is classic
Zenith.
Sass. Is like, what are all of the best removal spells and draw spells and the two colors that I
And then you could
Let's
also
play all of those.
you could throw Oculus in there too, because you're putting so many, like, you have so many cantrips, right? I mean, that one might be a little bit more of a stretch, and I think you have to pick Cosmic Grand Zenith or Oculus, but like, that's just my dream. Obviously, this is like the number one thing I want to try out right now, and you know, at the end of the day, this might just be an awful card, and I might just be trolling, but you know, just putting +1/+1 counter and drawing a card for 1 mana in standard with all these prowess cheap threats running around seems very, very, very good. So that was, you know, my take on it, and I'm really scared for when we have a better mana base and then Vivi gets this, because that Vivi gets like so much mana from putting this on Vivi. But yeah, that's
huge.
my sell on Cascade or on Honor, the card.
Sweet. Well, I think that's all we have for you guys today.
Yeah, we went for first episode, hour and 30 minutes. It's really, really good.
They're all going to be this long and potentially longer, so stay tuned.
We had so many other cards that I wanted to talk about, but like, I just feel like we can't at this point. Like let's cut it there, and maybe any of the ones we missed we can talk about in the next episode.
We will.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.
Come on.